Hi, this is Nick Dawson from Talkhouse, and you're listening to the latest episode of Nobody's Ever Asked Me That. It's the spin-off series of the Talkhouse Podcast, where I talk to filmmakers, musicians, comedians, and writers, and ask them questions they've never heard before in an interview, in an effort to discover a different side of them and understand them better. My guest on today's episode is Sarah Sherman. The reason I do this podcast is that I love to have interesting conversations with brilliant, idiosyncratic, creative people. And this episode is a perfect encapsulation of that. Sarah Sherman has been a breath of fresh air on Saturday Night Live since she joined the show as a cast member and writer in 2021, and she now has her first special on HBO, Sarah Squirm, Live and in the Flesh. It's very much not your average comedy special, but rather Sherman's thematic preoccupations and personal aesthetics turned up to 11. In practice, that means a collision of cutesy voices, gaudy colors, Jewish neurosis, body dysmorphia, and grotesque body horror, with more than a hint of John Waters, who has a cameo, and David Cronenberg. There is multimedia elements, effects pedals, a little crowd work. It's chaotic, stomach-churning, often hysterically funny, and frequently hide-your-face uncomfortable, sometimes all at the same time. I spoke to Sherman in her SNL dressing room a couple days after her HBO special came out, so she was focused a lot both on her day job and the Letterboxd reviews of Live and in the Flesh that she'd been obsessively reading. Our conversation, though, was very wide-ranging. I asked her a bunch of questions from my patented Nobody's Ever Asked Me That list, but she also said so many interesting things that I wasn't able to ask follow-up questions about all of them. For example, the fact that she took screaming lessons from the person who taught Chris Cornell how to scream sing. However, the subjects we did dig into in our chat included recurring nightmares, hypochondria, masochism, shit-talking people as a healthy form of expression, our thoughts on death, funerals, and 12-step, how Ted Kaczynski was onto something, SNL boss Lorne Michaels' unfortunate habit of forcing his employees to be constantly sleep-deprived, and much, much more. So, let's dive in. One thing I'm always really intrigued to know about somebody is, like, do you remember your dreams? Do you ever, like, write them down?
I actually, for a while, was going to a Jungian dream analyst.
Oh, cool.
I'm into Jungian, James Hillman, stuff like that. And I write them down. I have a dream journal. And I'm all about it. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't even know it's everything to me. So much of my therapy practice is like just unpacking everything that happens while I'm asleep.
Okay.
If they're getting too violent, it means there's like usually something like I'm not addressing. And right now, because I'm at SNL, I'm having a lot of like SNL stress dreams that are like always interesting. And I have a lot of like recurring, I mean, I could go on for my like most recurring nightmare is like very throat chakra related.
Okay.
Like I'm on stage screaming and no one can hear me, or I can't get people in a room to pay attention to me. So it's a lot of like communication hang up nightmares.
Is there like, because for me, one of my recurring nightmares is I'm in a car and like the person driving has like a heart attack or something.
Sex.
No, this is not a sex dream though. This is the thing. This is like as like deep childhood trauma dream. Like the person like passes out, has a heart attack, dies at the wheel, and I have to drive. And I, in real life and in the dream, do not know how to drive. I was in a car when I was really young and started like rolling down the hill with the handbrake off. Fortunately, everything was fine. But like, I think that's the root of that. So for you, for those like nobody can hear me sort of stress dreams, anxiety dreams, like, is there like an inciting incident, or is it just like I'm on SNL?
Well, it's like I also have a lot of throat chakra stuff. Like I kind of feel it's all like weird, like communication anxiety, and like just like feeling like you're not being understood no matter how much you try to like make yourself understood. Which is it's also a control thing. Like, you know, being a comedian is a lot of like, I can energy bend this room. I can control a crowd. I can make a reaction out of people. I can make people laugh. That's like controlling. And I have a microphone. It's like basically like, who else had a microphone? Fucking Hitler and Mussolini. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of like control, neuroses, not being understood stuff. And I took like screaming lessons from this like screamo coach, Melissa Cross, who like taught Chris Cornell how to like scream sing. And through like exercising a weird like vocal cord chakra, I found out that it's like a lot of weird like gender stuff, honestly. Like it's a lot of like people not, I hate to say this, like not taking women seriously because it's drill.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of one of the things I was thinking about when you're talking is like it feels very like my wife talks about this frequently where she was in a meeting and like she said something, everybody ignores her, a man says the same thing and everybody's like, oh my God, that's a great idea.
Yes. And I mean, not to this, what I'm about to say, by the way, I'm apologizing for what I'm about to say, which is a very female trait, but I've been like obsessively reading Letterboxd reviews of my special and as like a self-punishment or something. It's also fun because I'm delighted by how much people get it, and I'm delighted how angry it's making people. And I know this sounds like self-protective, or it sounds like cope, or it sounds like a defense mechanism, but I do really think that people are very annoyed by female stand-up comedians. And I think it's like the sound of my voice screaming poop jokes over and over again is like, I mean, I'm trying to irritate people. I am an irritant, but I'm like, I think that people just like genuinely, I think there is a misogyny there for sure.
Yeah. When you were talking before, all the gender stuff, the misogyny, you having the microphone and wanting to sort of get a room on your side, let's say, but at the same time, because like I have this like endless list of questions. And one of the questions, the relatively new addition to the list is like, are you a people pleaser? But the thing is that I think it's interesting about your work is, yes, there is that element of like, you're trying to make us laugh.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get the room on your side, but also it's very complicated.
Yeah.
Because of the way that you approach your comedy.
Yeah. I would say that I'm not a people pleaser in the sense that it's more like self-pleasing. I really like making a room laugh, and I really like to entertain people, and I like, especially, they paid good money to be there. I want to give them a good time, and it's a very maximalist experience, and I do not want to make their time wasted. But at the same time, it's like a goal for myself to please them. It's not so much that I'm pleasing other people in like this like endless like codependent kind of, you know, I need to please others. It's like almost, I'm feeling like a black hole in myself. That's like, like all comedians, it's like there's no amount of love is ever enough. And I know that no amount of love is ever enough, which is why like I'm always playing with like repulsion, you know, because it's like kind of whatever interesting like textural like give and take dynamic. But I'm not a people pleaser, but I'm very sensitive to people's emotions because I'm a Pisces. And I'm neurotic, so I'm always like, oh, I really hope I didn't hurt that person's feelings or something like that, you know?
I think there's something really interesting about like repulsion and how it's like people want to be repulsed at your shows, I guess. And so this thing of like the thing that most people are trying to, because like during your special, I was finding myself sort of laughing out sort of like hysterically, but also covering my face at the same time, which is like a curious intersection of things. To be pushing to put people a place of like great discomfort, but also pleasure.
Right. Hellraiser. It's like,
right. Yeah. So just going back to what we were talking about at the start, like the dream stuff, the therapy stuff, like, did you ever kind of work out like where the intersection of those things comes from or what it means for you?
I think like what I'm doing is pretty well-trod territory, but I'm just like going really hard at it. And it's like a Ren and Stimpy gross out kind of thing where it's like pushing people away with revulsion, but then there's like a joke at the end of the rainbows to try to pull them back in and like give them like points of identification to bring them back in again. And you know, it's like even like I'm looking right now at all my like garbage pail kids like framed in my office, like very that.
Yeah.
And again, like I keep going back to these Letterboxd reviews because I'm just like obsessively reading them right now. And it's people being like, there are no jokes in the special. And I'm like, that's literally not true.
Yeah. Very much not true.
There are, like, you might not like them and you might not think they're funny, but like my goal is throughout the special to make sure that there were jokes to touch down on, because I know how much repulsion I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I at least try to bring it back with jokes.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, I'm going to say it's misogynist. I hate to say it. There are jokes in it, and it's okay if people don't like them. That's one thing. But you can't deny the existence of jokes.
I think the people who are writing that are people who like watched 10 minutes and then decided to stop, but they were going to like write a mean review anyway.
Yeah.
Because you do go pretty hard the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There's waves in it.
Yes.
Which I think is really, really beautifully kind of calibrated. So maybe people just didn't make it through the first wave and then they just have an idea of who you are and what that is, and they're wrong.
Right. Well, it's also funny because if they watch the last 10 minutes, there's not a joke to be found.
There's not. No.
But I thought that I at least can do, like, I'm like, I've earned this 10 minutes of like self-masturbatory kind of performance art, noisy stuff, because I felt like I front-loaded it with a lot of jokes. And spoiler alert, there's literally masturbation in the last 10 seconds or whatever beat of that. Yeah, so it's funny. You're catching me at an interesting day. Okay,
tell me about that.
Well, just because I am like reading all this stuff and I'm like, why am I doing it? It's so punishing. But it's fun because I'm like, even the attraction and repulsion thing I'm doing to myself. Like,
yeah, right. The thing, when you were saying you were sort of part of that Ren and Stimpy like tradition, which I think is 100% true. The thing that I think sets you apart from, you can expand that world to like include like John Waters or Cronenberg or, like you mentioned, Hellraiser. The difference to me is like you are a single person standing on stage. It's not like this is Female Trouble or Polyester or it's like Scanners or like an episode of Ren and Stimpy. It's just like you are in this vulnerable state, just in the sense of you are there up alone. Mm-hmm. It's you and a mic and the audience. And like the intimacy of it, the immediacy of it, I feel like is very new, even if you are in this broader tradition.
Like Phyllis Diller, Joan Rivers, they talk about just being disgusting. Like, oh, my boobs are down here, whatever. I just have more of a like Carrot Top style presentation. Like, really, I have a lot of visual aids and jokes and stuff. Like, I saw Carrot Top show in Vegas and I was like, there's a lot of like PowerPoint comedy. And I'm like, my show is basically no different than this.
Right. I'm a very anxious person.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you most anxious?
Right now, it's the reception of the special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My job, SNL, makes me really anxious. And then I think the thing that I talk about a lot in the special is this like weird body. It's like hypochondria, but it's like neuroses. I have like my hypochondria manifests in a way where it's like, oh, I feel like the veins in my eyes are swollen, but that's not real. I know it's not real. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing anything about it, and I'm not going to go to the doctor because I'm avoidant.
Right. Yeah, I'm also avoidant.
Yes.
Do you ever have that thing where you like half wish that you would get quite seriously sick just to prove all the people wrong that like...
This has happened to me. Happened to me where it's funny. I was like, oh, I have a lump in my breast and it's cancer. And everybody's like, all my friends, my boyfriend are like, because I'm always thinking there's something wrong with me. And they're like, there's nothing wrong with you. Go to the doctor. There is a lump in my breast. I have to biopsy it. I was like, I told all of you I'm not crazy. Right. Like, I am in touch with my body. I know that there's something going on. Turns out, he was like, they biopsied it. They're like, there is something there. And I felt validated. And then they were like, did you ever experience blunt force trauma to your boob? And I was like, right. I did make my friend punch me in the boob.
Oh my God.
A Jackass style video 10 years ago. And they were like, okay. And I'm like, right. So I did it to myself. It did feel validating because I was like, I told you there was something there. I did it to myself.
Yeah. I think it's really it. Because I've had a thing where like my dentist was like, this tooth here, did you, like when you were 10 years old, did you possibly like have something hit you really hard in the mouth? I was like, yeah, I had a field hockey ball hit me in the mouth. He's like, that's why that tooth is dead. And like, nobody ever told me that. I'm in my 40s.
The body keeps the score.
Body keeps the score. It's pretty, I don't know, it's just like, it's kind of reassuring in a way how it sort of like retains the evidence of past stuff like that.
Yeah. That it should have gone away by now.
Right. But it hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I forgot about it and fully went through this whole process of going to the doctor, getting it scraped, whatever. And then it's like, oh yeah, I did forget about that.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you with death? Are you, because I'm sort of like low key fixated on death in like, I think a healthy way.
Yeah.
As in I think about it in terms of like its place within the arc of my life and like my responsibility as a parent, as a husband, as a member of society. I'm personally kind of like okay with dying, but I realize it's a bad thing for other people in my life if it were to happen. So I try to be responsible about it. But how do you sort of think about it in that grand scheme?
I think about it not a lot. I do. I mean, the special is like kind of, there's ruminations on it, obviously, towards the end, especially because it's like a whole special about the body. So, of course, then there's like a logical conclusion to that. I've read like Ernest Becker's Denial of Death, and that is like, that it's interesting because it's like about how everything in our life is like a defense mechanism to deal with the fact that we are going to die. And like, you know, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. It's just like people just flying in the face of their like impending demise, you know? So I think I'm like a little bit constantly aware of it. And in a way that I think is like motivational, in the sense that I try not to take anything for granted, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think that my life is really fun, and like the little kid version of me, myself as a little kid, would be so proud of the like adult that I am today. I think I'm so sleep deprived and stressed out and tired at work, and that it's easy to just feel a lot of bad feelings. But then I like think about how like the little kid version of myself would be proud of what I'm doing now, and that it's not going to be like, I'm not going to be on SNL forever, and I will die soon. And I'm glad that in my life I got to do something like this for like a short amount of time, and it wasn't that great. So I do kind of try to, even though like my job can be tough or my life can be stressful and I'm anxious all the time, I use death as a way to like, oh, and literally I have the band Death Leprosy album cover hanging right next to me.
That's awesome. It's funny. I was having a conversation with a couple of friends a few days ago, and at some point somebody was like, we just got onto the subject of death, and somebody's like, wait, are we talking about the concept death or the band death? And I was like, we're talking about the concept death.
Same thing.
It is important to draw that distinction. Do you ever think about your own funeral?
Yes, a lot. I use it, I like wield it as like a guilt cudgel or something.
Okay.
Where I'm like, even like thinking about like my special, I've been thinking about, I'm like, I feel like not that many people are watching it, or, oh my God, all these people hate it. But one day I'm going to fucking die and people are going to be like, but the special I think was cool.
That's interesting. Yeah. Do you think about how many people are going to turn up? That's kind of like, my mind goes to that too often.
Maybe this is like so egotistical, but it's like, and maybe I'm like overly confident, but it's like that thing of like, where you're like, well, you know what? People might not appreciate all the stuff I've done now, but when I'm dead, they'll fucking really appreciate it. Like everything I've ever done, I'm like, maybe people will appreciate it when I'm dead.
Yeah. No, I mean, hopefully Letterboxd is tipping things in the right direction in terms of like your sense of how much people are appreciating, or is that not what's happening right now?
There's a lot of, it's entertaining because it's like, there's a lot of stars and people being like, this is awesome. And then a lot of people hate it, but it's in the way that I like.
Okay.
It makes people like really mad. There's not a lot of middling.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes me feel good.
Yeah, it is, I guess it's polarizing.
Yeah. And even people are like, there's reviews that are like, I can appreciate that this is interesting. It's not for me. And I go, well, that's all I can ask for.
Yeah. Are you a masochist? Like, given that you said that you're,
Yes. I'm a stand-up comedian. That's like the most cutting thing you could do to yourself.
Has that changed? Like, is your masochist side less involved now that you are this successful? Or does the kind of comedy that you do mean that you're always facing that?
I'm such a masochist. It's like, I don't even really think I'm that successful. Always feel like a failure. Even like, because I'm in my SNL dressing room right now, which is why I keep talking about my job, because I'm like thinking about it. But I will, we have a dress rehearsal and a live show, and I will watch the dress rehearsal performance of something and then the live version of something and like compare it, and like literally it's not like nothing productive can come out of it. I'm just cutting myself and being like, oh, the dress rehearsal was like marginally better, and I messed this one up in the air show. It's like I'm almost taking like any opportunity to make myself feel bad, when it's like I should just be happy that I did something on TV at all. I envy people who can just be like, all right, let's go to the bar and drink. Yay.
But is it just that you have more going on, like emotionally, intellectually, psychologically than those people? Is that the cross you have to bear?
Everyone's got a lot going on. I'll give that to everyone.
Wait, I'm not negging your cast members, just to be clear.
No, I mean everyone in the world.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world has a lot going on. Like, I think about this all the time when I'm like feeling really anxious and stressed out or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even have kids. Like, imagine.
Yeah.
I'm always very aware of like the fact that I don't even have that much going on, and yet I'm making like a mountain out of a molehill, It's
maybe more difficult if you don't, because your focus is so
true. If I had a kid though, I'd be like, oh my God, it's like gonna fall over and like explode or something.
I mean, yeah. My understanding of parenting is like the first couple of years I was just trying to make sure my child didn't die.
Right.
And then after that, I've been trying to make sure that she's like gonna be able to survive in the world. And there's that transition from one to the other. But it's just like definitely early on, I'd just be like, oh shit, is she breathing? Okay, she's breathing. Oh shit, she's breathing. And you just do that for like 2 or 3 years.
That sounds I wouldn't sleep.
Well, you work for Lorne, and so you don't anyway.
Right, that's true. And there's people who work for Lorne and don't sleep because they have kids, and I don't know how they do that.
Yeah. I guess I haven't, because I like the working until 5 a.m. every Tuesday. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get into like, reporting Lorne to HR, but I just don't understand why he's done it. But I remember I heard this story about Larry David where like in the brief period that you presumably know the story.
Yeah.
He was just like, why would I stay here all night? I've written like 5 good sketches. I'm going home.
I wish the thing about me staying up all night is just because I'm slow.
I hear that.
So it just takes me a long time. Like Tim Heidecker always jokes. He was like, why don't you give it a couple more days and then put on the show? It'd be great.
Are you somebody who like you're kind of chipping away at the page and that's the way that you're slow? Or is it that like you're writing in your head and it's all kind of processing and then at like 4 a.m. you're like, okay, we're doing it?
I can like real shit something out that sucks. And then in like making it better in the edit, just agony. Just being like, ugh, like second guess. Because I'm really, I can just like do a free write, not guess myself, like total like kind of flow state something. And it's in the edit that I'm like, I don't know what's funny anymore. Yeah. Especially too, like looking at a page like this and typing. It's hard to tell what's funny as opposed to just like being in front of people, like writing on stage.
Yeah.
Interacting with an audience, like entertaining people.
You lose that compass.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's tough. Do you ever fantasize about another life in another place? And if so, like, what do you picture?
I'm always like, oh, I wish I was making a movie right now. But then it's like all the steps that I would have had to skip to get to the fun part.
Yeah.
Like actually having to write a movie and whatever. But it's like, I'm very thankful. I hate to say it. I'm really thankful for my life. And I'm living the life that I've always wanted to live since I'm a kid. Like, I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I wasn't doing the specific thing that I have to do for money. Not this job. Like, I've done a lot of other kind of jobs for money that I don't love. But No disrespect, I'm not waiting tables, so I'm pretty happy. I
Mhm.
live where I want to live. Like,
Mhm.
I feel lucky that I can live in this. Like, I live in fucking New York, and I'm a comedian. Like,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. Is that what you want to do next? Is make movies?
Yeah,
Do you like have a vivid picture of what that looks like?
yeah.
Can you tell me, or is that too much?
I think what is why I'm so obsessive about the Letterboxd reviews is I showed people exactly what I make.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I make, and like, you know, what's funny, it's like the special's being marketed as like Sarah's first comedy special. And it's like my first big real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've made little versions of things before.
Yeah.
And I think in all eras of my life, it's looked like exactly the same.
Mhm.
So, like, I think it's gotten a little better, hopefully, but everything I've ever made in my life looks the same, and it always will.
Mhm.
So, my movie is everything, every movie I ever make. You already know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it just you, but with a bigger canvas with more control?
And it will look, yeah, and movies are the hardest thing. Like, everyone's always like, oh my God, you know, people always say about stand-ups, like, I don't know how you do it. It's like it's the hardest thing ever. It's really not. It's really not. You basically didn't have to do anything. It's like getting up in a room full of people it doesn't take courage. It's actually cowardice. You're running away from something.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're not like sitting and thinking about your life. The hardest thing to do is make a movie because it's like a total work of art.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that I want to figure out how to do, but it seems really hard.
Yeah. You were talking before about how grateful you are. Is gratitude something that you actively work at, or?
Yeah, because I'm like very Jewish and complainy. So I'm like hyper aware that my favorite thing to do is complain and be loud and scream and be annoying, but I'm constantly like reminding myself that it's all like founded in gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I frequently become aware of just like how much I like to both complain and kind of like identify people's faults, I guess.
Yes.
In a way that I think is like light and enjoyable, but
it's good. It means you're discerning and it's like self-protective.
But it also can like just completely torpedo a friendship.
But I'm around a lot of really crazy people all the time, and you constantly have to be like protecting yourself from like energy vampirism or just you gotta just like kind of protect yourself. So like if that means that friendships have been torpedoed because you're being hyper vigilant, I think that's okay.
Yeah. I think the danger is like there's this concept in Buddhism. My mother-in-law is a Buddhist priest, so like I know I have some vague concepts.
Cool.
Yeah, she married me and my wife like 20 years ago.
So cool.
Yeah. But there's this thing in our marriage vows about right speech, which is this idea that you don't say something in front of somebody, or you don't say something in private that you wouldn't say in front of the person.
Right.
And it's like when I fall short of that I get myself into trouble. And like there might not actually be any trouble, but I just feel crappy about it.
Wow. I'm kind of the opposite. I believe in talking shit about every single person in your life, including your loved ones, because I'm very anal explosive. So, and that's like also like a chakra thing. It's like constantly needing to express a gland, and like sometimes you don't even mean the things you say, but it's just like energy release.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me it's just like I don't trust myself to just like have it come out unmediated. I have to think.
Sure.
Like I'm also trying to get rid of that, like release that energy, but I'm trying to do it in a way that like isn't chaotic, I guess.
See, that's nice.
So when you were talking about like the people around you, do you have like a tight circle of friends, or yeah?
Yeah. I actually don't spend a lot of time alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm always with my friends or my boyfriend. I've never lived alone, and it kind of like moving on to the next part of my life. You know, I'm like either, you know, when I'm here at work at SNL, you talk to like 800 people a day, or on tour, constantly talking and being around people. And so I'm interested in this next part of my life, trying to write a movie, which is very like hermit-like. And I'm curious about that. I wonder how I'll fare.
Do you like distractions like in your life?
I like being busy and doing shit. But I also crave, before this job, I was living in LA and I had an art studio and I would like make stuff alone. I had a studio mate, so I was I like being in a room with someone and not talking.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm
good.
curious about this next part of my life where I'm moving into more hermit-like creation, how that'll work.
Yeah. For me, like I feel like the way that technology has sort of shaped the past couple of decades, like it's so hard to have any kind of true focus.
Yeah.
I mean, this is speaking very subjectively, but I wrote a book like years and years back, like in like almost 20 years ago, like 15, 20 years ago. And I got the most done like when I like crashed at my parents' place for a couple of months and they, for some reason, had just canceled their internet. And I was like insanely productive.
Unfortunately, me and everyone on this planet, my attention deficit disorder has been totally created by the internet.
Yeah.
And I've noticed also I'm having a really hard time getting back to people right now, phone call and texting, and it's because of an allergy I've created with like, this is a portal to hell.
Yep.
And it's not that I'm like, and this is like how I know I'm not a people pleaser, is there's so many people right now who are angry with me because I can't get back to them.
Yeah.
And it's because this is a portal to hell. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to having a moment where I'm a hermit and I'm not on the computer. I have to write everything down in a notebook. All my jokes are in a notebook because if I were to open my computer to write, that's another portal. So going to your parents' house and not having any internet, I would have an amazing life.
Yeah. There's definitely part of like my sort of totally unmerged reality life that I imagine in my head that I idealize is some kind of like, obviously this involves my wife and my family, but like a sort of Ted Kaczynski life without the terrorism.
Yeah.
You know, I guess, which is probably, Walden Pond, like the Thoreau, it's like,
his like, cabin is so Walden Pond.
Very, yeah. But just not getting into like mail bombing.
But then it's like that cliche. People are like, he was onto something in that manifesto. It's like, right.
Yeah.
I think, I'm sorry I keep talking. I mean, I keep talking about my special because that's just where I am, right? I keep talking about it. It's like all I'm thinking about right now. And I think about work kind of in relation to like zones. And again, I've seen on Letterboxd, everyone like is comparing the special to Pee-wee's Playhouse because it's like aesthetically like on a set. I would say it's like very different, and there's like obviously homage because I'm not obviously the child of Pee Wee Herman, but it's like that's how I like think of work is like I can't separate the performance from the zone that it's in, and so like when I'm thinking about like writing the next thing, like you were saying with this like Ted Kaczynski cabin, it's like inseparable from like I'm thinking about the movie that I'm writing. But I'm fantasizing about the perfect zone space that I'm writing it in because I feel supercharged by like my environment. And so I wish like the set of my special was just like a room I could go in to write my next movie.
Yeah.
And I do fantasize about like, money does buy happiness because if I was like fucking rich, I would build the most awesome workspace.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the truth is that money can create an environment in which we find happiness.
Yes. I like think about this a lot. Like Andre 3000 was like, I can't make the music that I used to make because I'm like a rich guy now, basically.
Yeah.
And so he's just like been able to like have an artistic, like I don't want to say like evolution or metamorphosis because I don't think that like his like psychedelic flute music, I don't think it's like better or worse than Outkast. I'm like, what like money and power and fame has like allowed him is artistic exploration and like experimentation that like we wouldn't have had if he wasn't rich.
100%.
And it's like, it's really awesome, which is like weird, you know, and there's so many of my favorite artists, I think, with money and power have gotten worse. Like, I do think there's like a marked difference, but with someone like Andre 3000, he's just like a crazy, cool, rich guy who can now make fucking far out psychedelic flute music.
Yeah. Which is great. I think like, you know, it's hunger, like literal and figurative, is such a big factor in this, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. And even, I don't know, like I have this thing about one of my pet theories in life is that happiness is very overrated, but comfort is very underrated.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I mean, David Lynch talks about this all the time. Like, he writes about this in Catching the Big Fish, or Catching the Big Fish, or
I know the book you mean.
The meditation book.
Yeah.
It's like people romanticize artistic suffering, and it's like you're not going to make anything if you're, like you were saying, starving, poor, in pain, uncomfortable. You're not going to make anything good. He's like, I was miserable making Eraserhead. It was in a cold garage. I hated my family and my life, and I was miserable the whole time. And like, I don't think Eraserhead is his best movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, how could it be?
It's it's maybe his rawest movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's like about the lack of comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is maybe what you're playing with at times.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, it's like, I think it's kind of a lack of comfort is, you know, if you're to define it in different ways, is like most of what art is about.
Yeah.
Basically. Can you think back to a time that you nearly gave up? Or is that just never happened?
An option. Never. I've learned the art of surrender.
Okay.
So I've learned about letting go because of like, you know, I've gone to like Al-Anon, and I've learned about like 12-step, and like even this job, so much of this job at SNL, like things are like out of my control because I'm in this giant show that moves really fast. And it's taught me to be less of a psychopath. Like, I'm a perfectionist, which is funny because my work is very imperfect. So it's funny to think about being a perfectionist about stuff that isn't even that good. But I will like overwork something and be crazy about something for no reason, and it doesn't get you anything. You should just like let go and surrender and have fun, and nothing's that deep, you know?
Yeah. I love Al-Anon. I kind of dip in and out.
Yeah.
But like it saved my ass like a number of times.
Me too.
Because I feel like when you have like either crazy person or like a crazy workplace or whatever, and it's like it's breaking my brain, like I know exactly where to go.
Yeah.
And just like have people around me who are going through similar shit and can right size the neurosis and fear and all that kind of thing.
Totally. And it feels crazy to have people understand you in a really basic fundamental level.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they're different from you. Y'all don't have the same friends. Y'all don't have the same family. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. They know exactly. And it puts everything into perspective for me. Like, I'll be struggling. Mm-hmm. And then like 5 minutes in a room and I'm like, right, it's all good. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe it's a little more than 10, but like I didn't know the difference between AA and Al-Anon. I was like, they're just the same, you know, it's the same, but it's highly, highly underrated as somebody who doesn't have an alcoholic in your life to go to Al-Anon, I think.
I think that everyone should be in Al-Anon because everyone is affected. Like if you're affected by anything because you're a human being, you should go to Al-Anon.
Definitely. Well, the thing I talk about with my friends a lot is that I think everybody should definitely be in some kind of program, because like the way my thinking about program people is essentially they're people who are trying to like address the shit in their lives, and they probably go to therapy too.
Right.
I mean, I don't right now, but like program like is just people who are like working on stuff.
And I always think like if you're not working on your stuff somewhere, someone's getting it then.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like, you're taking it out on someone or something, whether or not you know it.
And you probably don't know it.
Yeah.
Which in can lead to like, why is everybody being so weird with me? I'm just like, I'm just dealing with my shit. And like, people think I overreact, or people think I get angry, or whatever. Yeah. Have you seen like a change in your work through the stuff that you've worked on in rooms or with therapists? Or in the way that stuff has come to you, or the ease in making it, or the ease in addressing certain things?
I think because like, I hate that I'm such a cliche and that I'm like a Jewish comedian, a Jewish neurotic comedian who talks about therapy. But because like I'm obsessed with my own neuroses, and the work becomes a neuroses, and the work becomes like an act out of neuroses, and the rhythm and pacing of it is like an expression of neuroticism. Like, so much of the work is about therapy because I like just talking about psychological torture and distress. Mm-hmm. Weirdly enough, I will say that I feel like the biggest impact anything has had on me is not like therapy per se, or rooms per se, or 12-step, is like just COVID was like a real perspective shift, and also like gave me my first, like, because I've been touring like even before SNL, like I was just home, mm-hmm. isolated, forced to just like be really introspective. And it was an exercise for everyone globally in surrender completely. Mm-hmm. We all had to surrender to something. And I think people were like, even dealing with the levels of surrender, like whether or not they were like railing against it or not, everyone had to surrender a little bit. Mm-hmm. So whether or not you're in 12-step, if you lived through the pandemic, you learned about surrender in one way or another.
Yeah. And that was like right before you got SNL, is that right?
Yeah.
Do you think that in the parallel universe where COVID doesn't happen, what do you think?
I just wouldn't have had, it like grounded me completely, and it mm-hmm. made me a better performer, and it just made me grounded. Like I was totally way more crazy and like untethered to reality. Mm-hmm. And it like, I think having a giant reality check and like time to just like read books and watch movies as an adult in mm-hmm. quiet and like paint was just like totally grounding and maturing. And I think I was able to like right at like as soon as like COVID was kind of over, I mean it's not, whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as it's kind of chilled out, that's when I auditioned, and like mm-hmm. I just came into those rooms with like even though I was like hadn't been performing in a while and I didn't have like a bunch of stage time in, like I just came in with just like a grounded energy mm-hmm. that I don't think I had before the pandemic.
Were you less, I don't know, I think about like when I have a task that I'm trying to do, I have an audition, an interview, a deadline, that I can easily think about it as a binary thing mm-hmm. of like, I'm going to fail or I'm going to succeed, or it's going to be like amazing or it's going to be awful. Mm-hmm. And that there's no gray, or there's no like, when you went in, were you more relaxed? Did it feel less heavy? Because you had like kind of been considered or auditioned before, is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just like was like an adult, and mm-hmm. so I'm able to think about things more like dimensionally and stuff. And like I also like audition, I had made my own stuff, so like I know about how things are made and why things are made and why people are chosen for things, and mm-hmm. I know there's so much gray area. And even though I'm such a punisher and a self-cutter, and I could be like, I have like a negative self-talk chatter going on in my head at all times, like I'm just a more grounded, nuanced person that I kind of let on sometimes.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the books that you read during COVID? Because I think you've mentioned at least a couple, like when you're talking about Jungian therapy, but then you mentioned somebody whose name I was not familiar.
Oh yeah, James Hillman.
Yeah. You've basically name checked people who I'm not familiar with, and usually I can at least pretend that I know. Yeah, I can like give the sort of the Cliff Notes or the Wikipedia version or whatever, the idiot version of like who a person is. So like I'm sort of intrigued to know like what you kind of dug into during that time.
I'm like a Philip K. Dick head.
Okay.
So I just kind of went through a lot of Philip K. Dick, mm-hmm. which was funny too, because like during the pandemic it was very dystopian, but he's so he's just my favorite writer ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's so psychedelic, and like it is crazy to read like hippie San Francisco meth head sci-fi that's all just became true.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And did that helped in sort of like, or was, I mean, I guess I assumed that you'd like read some like deep sort of like psychoanalysis books or.
Well, I really do think reading fiction helped during that, especially like because it gave us time to like sit and be quiet. It gave, fiction gets you back to the childlike imagination stuff, which is like, we lose so much of in adulthood. And I feel like I'm constantly in pursuit of just like recapturing the feeling of like having a childlike imagination. Like it makes me sad when I'm like on the train and I see all the iPad babies, and it's like, but my favorite stuff in my whole life was like sitting as a kid and just thinking about crazy crap.
When you said iPad babies, I was like, yeah, that stuff is so depressing to me. Like when you see a child who's like under 2 and they're swiping, it's just like, what the fuck?
I know. And it's like not even to like be like a woke police, like get the kid technology. It's just like, but that was my favorite, like my fondest memories in my life are just like being a kid and having a wild imagination.
Did you get to sort of like run free in Great Neck, or was it not really like that?
I like was reading a lot of books actually. Mm-hmm. Like my fondest memories from childhood are like reading a fucking crazy book. And because, Great Neck was not all that and a bag of chips. But, like, I just can't imagine, like, the fact that kids, like, don't read. It's, like, it makes me so sad.
Do you think that making the work that you do helps to sort of anchor you in that kid?
It's a lot of, like, yeah. I mean, look at what I'm wearing right now.
No, I know.
I think I'm, like, very... I don't want to say the word nostalgia because I think that's wrong. But I think actually it's very Jungian to want to indulge imagination, fantasy, dream work, because so much of like growing up is like, I hate to say it, it's like school capitalism beating the fantasy out of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like everything I do is just like a return to that, And I think it's like, also like the world is getting acceleratingly uglier and everything looks like a hospital. And it's like, there's no reason why everything has to be so ugly.
Oh, yeah, completely. I've already asked you about death and funerals, but do you think about like my current thing that I'm sort of preoccupied with is like the world that my daughter is going to inherit? And
oh, sure.
Like, what is the world going to look like in 2050 or what's the world going to look like in 2080? Do you allow yourself to think about those things?
Constantly. Because again, it's like narcissistic, but all I want to do in my life is like make work. And I worry about my ability to do that for the rest of my life. Because I'm like, HBO let me make the craziest thing ever. And there were resources and like help and access. And I worry, I mean, it's so trite to be someone like worrying about AI, but I don't know. I don't think so. What things are going to look like even a year from now and like people's ability to make stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot about like, obviously AI is terrifying to me in a number of different ways, but like in terms of like my own ability to make a living, sure. But also just like, you're talking about people not reading, like, they're not even writing anymore because they're having AI do whatever. That's a little, that's well-trodden territory. But I also just think about like what is going to survive of like what we make. Yeah. Like if somebody flicks the wrong switch on, in Silicon Valley and like, if we, we're not in an age of really saving physical media particularly. And
I literally have like, I'm a hoarder. I love things like, I love everything in my special is tactile and practical. And like, this is part of like the animation from like the opening credits.
Oh, that's cool.
The Realize Sarah Squirm thing that my friend Lee made. And they put it in a little case so I could keep it. And it's like, I'm all about, I think it's funny, the like Marie Kondo like school of like getting rid of things that don't spark joy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I like keeping things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like knickknacks and memorabilia and like holding physical things because that's like real to me. And it is funny that it's like something like AI, which is so like generative. It's like there's so many things to look at or whatever. It's like deleting the dream machine from our own minds and having computers dream for us. So it's like, it's not creating anything actually. It's just rehashing things that we've already thought about.
100%. Yeah. It's like, it's a retread. There's no new things happening. It's just like remixes of old things. Well, I'm afraid I could keep talking to you for hours and hours, but I have to not be greedy. It's been so lovely to talk to you. So interesting.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. And the special is amazing.
Yay!
And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much to Sarah Sherman for talking with me, and thanks to you for listening. Sarah's Squirm, Live and in the Flesh, is now streaming on HBO. You'll watch it and then write something thoughtful about it on Letterboxd. This episode was produced by Myron Kaplan, and the theme music is by The Range. If you haven't already, please rate, review, and subscribe to the Talkhouse Podcast, and keep your eyes and ears peeled for upcoming episodes of Nobody's Ever Asked Me That, as there's lots of good stuff in the works.